$20,000 an hour, $500,000 a day, $180 million a year. It's a living. So that's why traders love volatility.
As we continue to see increasing prescription demand for both 𝗣𝗏𝗏 and 𝗘𝗀𝗃𝗃.
Hi guys. Yeah, so I don't think we'll ever have a universal cure for cancer. Maybe. There's nothing wrong with just treating things one at a time as well. Yeah, quantum rally. Think it'll last, but you know, who knows? 𝗤𝗏𝗘𝗢 is just out of control beast. I have a pretty hedged position, so I think retail just wants more pain and punishment. There was a baggie who posted on Wall Street Bets that he was long 𝗤𝗏𝗘𝗢 at 18. Like I said, short stock, buy calls. No, VKTX has been steadily collapsing for a while now. Hume was down. Stocks are volatile. You don't just press a button and they just go to the price you want them to go to. It'd be funny if it worked that way. It's a while. Yeah, but Alex, it's below the price it was at before FDA approval. Yeah, I think Jensen felt bad tanking the quantum industry. So that's his mea culpa. Even though he told the truth, he hasn't changed his mind. It does say coming decades. It's pretty funny. He's not backing down on that. He runs the biggest computer company in the world. I think he knows what he's talking about. Lays is like a straight scam, dude. Any CEO dropping generative AI pictures just to like pretend they have like digital art or something like that. AVXL and Lays do that. LAES. I don't know if they're in full euphoria. I think they're trying to crawl their way back to where they were. Trading the volatility as well, so there's a lot of back and forth action here that you could try to take advantage of. I've done something's right, something's wrong. I mean, I think I covered well at the bottom, but there were some times where I covered too quickly. That one time on Friday, been an odyssey. Isn't it the same as the company they sold, Acceleron? Yeah, Cramer's super interested in this. I haven't talked to him. I haven't talked to Cramer in years, but it's just funny that we're both commenting on quantum at the same time quite heavily. It's, you know, it's a hot topic in the markets, but I just wanted to point out that, you know, I'm not like coordinating with him or talking to him or anything. We don't DM, we don't talk on the phone. Not that I would, like I said, I respect the guy a lot. Yeah, there's a company, QUBT, that's called Quantum Computing Inc., and it's like the scammiest of all of them. 𝗤𝗏𝗘𝗢's getting sold off a little bit here. I mean, just the bid-ask spread on IonQ is like 10 cents at a time, which is crazy. I don't think Elon will try to ban short selling now. That'd be really funny. Yeah, you're basically right, Andy. All the publicly traded ones. I don't think IBM is a scam. I think IBM's trying pretty hard. They're doing real research, real science. They actually have a product that works. Even if it's not great, it at least is real, you know? Well, I'd say to that is that there are theoretical concerns that people have brought up that it's possible that quantum computing cannot work. Some scientists have suggested that. And I don't know that we're out of the woods on that yet. Quantum annealing is just useless. Really stupid business. Yeah, Aronson, I think Aronson is cautiously optimistic, you know, and I would say I'm kind of in that same camp, but I think that being realistic about the business opportunity is different from being realistic about the possibility of quantum arriving. As you can see, like I'm super excited about writing the code in the space and learning about it. It's really a new paradigm in computing, which is really cool. But, you know, what are you going to use it for? You know, yeah, I think there's still good shorts, Chris. What are you going to use it for? Are you going to use it to break encryption? Okay, well, who really needs to do that? There's a handful of people that have that use case. And, you know, it's probably not a huge market. And then you've got, you know, a couple of scientific sort of academic types that would like to use it. But if you look at Bruker and NMR, you know, nuclear magnetic resonance, is kind of like that. It's like this complex tool that you can use to get these NMR spectra. These machines can cost a huge amount of money. They're very hard to operate. They're very hard to read and calibrate, get the results, etc. And Bruker's, you know, a couple $1 billion company. You know, it's very, very tricky to correctly kind of get, you know, a very technical machine to actually work. Oh, you're right. 𝗤𝗏𝗘𝗢 is hard to borrow now, which is I'm going to change my trading strategy a little bit. I'm going to cancel.
Order cancelled.
Some of my. I think it's a good news that they're hard to borrow because it means that somebody out there wants to short a lot of QC and they're soaking up borrow from Interactive, which Interactive will take their clients' money, or their client stocks, and send them to Wall Street to short. And they're even doing it with IonQ. IonQ is getting hard to borrow, which is shocking because it's got so many shares. Yeah, so Goldman and if you work at a hedge fund, like sometimes it's hard to source these types of stocks to short because you actually have to go out and get them from somebody who's long. And if nobody's long these stocks at Morgan Stanley or Goldman, because those guys mostly cater to professionals, then it's very hard to find these stocks to borrow. And if you're a big hedge fund, you don't have an account at Interactive Brokers or at E-Trade. It doesn't make any sense. All the people who are long this stuff are at Robinhood. Robinhood doesn't even allow shorting. So I don't know what they do with securities lending, but they could make a good business with that. Selling our data, it's much more, no, they can't really make synthetic shares too easily. There is a whole borrow market dynamic that is important to understand. Yeah, so it's kind of bearish that it's gotten very hard to borrow. I think that's usually a good sign when you're short. You don't want to be the only one shorting the stock. This is a bunch of smart people saying, yeah, you know what, you're right. This stock is worthless. There's some comfort in that. You don't want everyone on the planet shorting the stock, because then it's kind of becomes a crowded short. And, that can be a good thing if the stock goes down, but it can kind of be a bad thing if the stock doesn't go down. So, there's a lot to it.
Order partially filled.
I've seen it all each way, I don't think anybody could I don't think there's a single person that could use a quantum computer. You'd have to be a scientist. You have to be an expert. Even experts have a hard time. So an individual could never use a quantum computer for it. Here's another company everybody's trying to insert themselves in quantum computing. Microcloud Hologram Inc. explores precise quantum computing. GME converged faster than people kind of remember. GME only went parabolic for like a day. And then it was just
order partially filled.
Mostly just a ride down.
Order filled.
Rigetti's
order partially filled.
You can borrow it again now. If the stock price goes down, baggies typically do sell. I mean, true bag holders don't sell. The professional bag holder will always hold. But some baggies are very scared. They're not diamond hand. They're just like, I don't want to lose all my money. I'm out of here. And the pro bag holders make fun of them. They're like, ha, watch me really hold this bag tight, white-knuckled, fisted. Joe Springer, I would say Joe Springer is a pro. Joe made a dividend video for dividend stocks. He's lying low. He's smart. He's lying low so you can just forget about the whole 𝗍𝗏 ordeal. He's just a hater that is trying to get me to sell all my stock. Okay, Matt, whatever you say. Think you're going to lose your money. No, you just have an agenda. All right, bro. Good luck. How's it going, Matt? I lost all the money. Okay, yeah, I thought I told you so. No, it's not that. You were wrong, but I'm the victim. I don't even understand it. The placebo is so strong. Okay, well, why are you suing the company? I was lied to. Well, we told you were being lied to. No, I wasn't lied to the way you think I was lied to. No, you were. You were. Notice how I'm not crying about any market manipulation, even though my short position is down 2.5 million. I do have calls, so it doesn't count that. Naktrab said he wanted to sue 𝗍𝗏. Okay, got all my models back up and running here.
And improve jawline depth.
Wait, you're asking how long would it take for Google to catch up to the quantum computing companies? Are you sure you got that one right? I think you got it the other way around. Yeah, Quantum Day is just Jensen feeling bad for nuking all these company stocks. So just trying to do him a solid.
Filled.
When these stocks go down, I try to buy out of the money calls, and I have
order
just
partially filled.
A lot of calls.
Order filled.
I actually wish I had more.
Order partially filled.
Given how up they
order
are.
filled.
I it's funny because I have no real exact calculations on any of it. You would think I'd be
order
sitting there
filled.
calculating my deltas very carefully, all this
order
stuff. I'm like,
filled.
I just sit there and click.
Order filled.
I just click. I click short, I buy the calls, and I don't want to sell the calls, even though they're up a lot, because that's what gives me the buying power to sell it.
Order filled.
I just basically go off my buying power and my P&L, which is definitely not the way to do it.
Order partially filled.
Well, one thing I could do is I
Order
could
filled.
sell the out of the monies, okay, and buy in the monies with the proceeds. But then I just want to short more anyway. So that way I'm like selling the vol, the highest delta that's going up, if that makes sense. I don't know. Another good strat is to trade the calls pretty actively, like trade 50, 100, 200 calls at a time, just
Order
back and
filled.
forth. Okay, I'm selling some of my calls. Yeah, maybe down like
Order
$50,000
filled.
today. Really almost nothing. So I'm very lucky that I have these calls in the synthetic puts. Lily was an okay trade. I was a little early. I kept buying the calls. And yeah, it's up a little bit from the bottom, but yeah, it's a little
Order
more
partially
dicey
filled.
than I would have liked. Yeah, so just to
Order
give you
filled.
a sense of the insanity, I just bought 500 shares of IonQ, okay, 500 shares, almost nothing for me, at 36.05, okay, and sold 500 shares of IonQ at 36.45 in 35 seconds. So I just want you to understand that. This is a 35 seconds. Okay, so 35 seconds, that is $20,000 an hour, $500,000 a day, $180 million a year. It's a living. Yeah, so that's why traders love volatility. Do it again every 10 seconds. Yeah, of course it's illusory, but the point is the extreme volatility is something that quantitative investors do take advantage of. The spreads here are enormous. This is just a field day for, it doesn't mean that you can't take advantage of some of the
Order
volatility.
partially filled.
Okay, so I got out of a bunch of my out of the money calls, which is cool. Now I'm going to see if I can get back in at the right price. Let's see. So I got out of 38,
filled.
39, and 40 calls. 38, 39, and 40. Let's start with the 38s. I sold these almost $2, so I'm willing to buy them back at $1.50. 32 calls. I sold at $3.70. Oh, wow, these are. Wait, it says that I bought them. Oh, okay, these are the wrong. 39 calls. I sold at $1.60, so I should be willing to buy them back at say $1.40. Getting those kinds of crazy swings, which I probably will. You know, this is a great sort of opportunity on the option side. Okay, so a good example here. Again, you know, it's a little silly, but I mean, this is a really small trade, but it's an example of kind of what I do to waste time while I wait for the short to pay off. Is I bought, let me get this exact trades out for a second. Well, I'll round it up. I bought 13 calls at 116. These are the IonQ Jan 1740 calls, and I sold them at 124. So these are, you know, this is a very small trade, $104 profit. But the point is that, you know, this is a pretty big spread, 7% spread for a couple minutes. You know, 7% is a lot. I think you should short more 𝗘𝗀𝗊𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 and I'm trying to sell them at $1.33 again. So I'm acting like the market maker here. And the nice thing is, unlike the market maker, I can kind of the market maker can too, but I have a short bias. So I'm willing to offer more supply than maybe demand, but at the right price, I'll take some demand too, or some supply, the other way around. So, that can kind of keep you a little more alive than you normally, might be, I suppose. If you're curious what a trader does on Wall Street, like you could be sitting at Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs doing this all day, or at Susquehanna, which is one of the best firms you could possibly be at. Have you guys heard of Susquehanna? If you're a good math person, it's a fantastic firm to be at. Rigetti's kind of behaving better than IonQ. At least Rigetti is supposed to be crazy stock. Rigetti hard to borrow. IonQ hard to borrow? IonQ and Rigetti. That's very bearish, I think. When the shorts are clamoring for
Order partially filled.
shares to short. You don't want that as long, I don't think.
Order
But
filled.
it can sometimes take a day or two of disarray while the shorts are going to find their locates. I don't think you make a ton, Kevin, but you could certainly start your Wall Street career. I'm not sure you're going to make that much of a fortune. You can short the common and short the vol. That's possible. You could still short it, but you do a little bit of trading, doesn't kill you. Might reduce your cost basis a tiny bit, because ultimately, if you sort of martingale, you will get dips, and those dips will give you some exit opportunities. I don't know much about Chainlink, to be honest with you. And again, if you're net short, you're sort of happy if your calls go bust, because that means your stock's getting smoked.
Order filled.
Not everyone's used to this kind of trading. Direct measurement, like of quantum state, I mean, you can direct measure. My positions are basically all the same. Puts means you
Order filled.
buying puts and shorting the stock are two very different things. They both theoretically appreciate in downside, but one you're making a bet
Order
on
cancelled.
implied vol, which could be, very unfavorable. You're also making a time-bound bet. I don't like those conditions. Now, when you buy a put, you have defined risk, which is the big one. Antilia is cooked, VKTX is cooked. Longs just never work, man. Biotech longs are just atrocious. Everything's good, feel good, got some rest. I was very tired yesterday. Doing battle. Yeah, buying puts is, unless you're getting cheap IV, buying puts is not great. And it's all about timing. I mean, I like to buy my calls when the stock dips, but I also don't always have a choice. Yeah, tell me about it, Red. Binary events, if the vol is cheap, or you have a very specific defined date, and in like something like biotech, yeah, of course puts are fine. I haven't looked at 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗃 in a while. They got to do something. So normies can short stock. Just got to keep your position size reasonable. If you're going ham, you'll get ham results on the upside and on the downside. If you like to go ham, the market will go ham with you. You're playing the game on hard mode. So if you play the game on hard mode and win, you win big prize. If you play the game on hard mode and lose, you lose a big prize. Just make sure you're ready for hard mode. Yeah, Buffett indicator is a good one, Ruther. Yeah, Klon, it's hard. Like, theoretically, you always try to short stocks at peak euphoria, peak public mention, stuff like that. Like, hard to ever see anyone caring about quantum ever again more than this. It's just not that interesting. Let's see, I can get out of DJT and add to my IonQ short.
Order filled.
I don't think we go back to the top of quantum. I think this bounce fades down maybe 100 grand from yesterday. Still profitable in quantum. Portfolio's around 30% since I started quantum. At one point it was up 100%. Yeah, we sort of look like that green line. They're all over the place. I try to bracket it around in the money and out of the money. I also did short some IonQ puts. So shorting the downside vol a little bit because I was short enough stock. And when you short a put, you're basically saying, I will cover at this price, which I just got rid of that position now. I think you're thinking too hard, universe.
Order filled.
There's no conspiracy in the stock market. It's just people trading. When you start personifying the stock market, it's just cringy because like Rigetti's back, and I still see this as not shortable. Yeah, the stock doesn't know you own it. I like that. The stock doesn't know you own it, but the quants do. Okay, we're getting a little bit of a respite here. So if you've been moving these things, now is a chance to alleviate yourself briefly. There was a chance.
Order partially filled.
I am shorting. It looks like they'll take a break here. The stocks might take a little break. AVXL is like tied to beta. We'll probably release some like quantitative stuff open source. I don't think we're going to release any of our like internal engines for reporting price or anything like that. Some of the algorithmic stuff we're going to do, I think we'll release that. Borrow rate to me just indicates demand for shorting, which I think you want the demand for shorting a stock to be high.
Order partially filled.
I'm getting rid of all my
Order filled.
QUBT calls. Here comes the downdraft. Oh, spaghettios. Bulls make money. Bears make money. We should have an annual bag holders awards. What do you guys think? Be really fancy event, Matt Nat Trab. No, we'll have speeches and everything. I'd like to thank the committee for selecting me as the biggest bag holder. I lost my whole account. Diamond Hands!
Order filled.
You win this year's annual Diamond Hands. I like how they took a terrible strategy and made it a rallying cry. Diamond Hands is the worst strategy you could have. I'm not going to take losses. I'm going to bury my head in the sand. Make that a good thing. You call burying head in the sand strat. My P&L on stocks is negative 4.5 million. My P&L on my options is plus 4.3 million. And the two are constantly racing each other. Nibbles, it depends. So like you don't necessarily need one. So for example, if you do a deep in the money call, yes, that's true. But if you're willing to pay some implied vol, you're just subtracting your break even. So you can do a whole spectrum. Well, Rigetti had its day yesterday, so they all play out the same, I agree. No, 30%. Well, I see what you're saying. Look, Buffett had 30% positions. If you're sure, you're sure. And Robinhood was pretty cheap. High growth, really high growth, cheap stock. I don't see what's wrong. No lie. Ain't no lie. So when you're sure, you know. Nothing wrong with that at all. I shorted a tiny bit of 𝗣𝗑𝗃𝗀 there they're more concentrated in the money, that's for sure. So I'd say they logarithmically go up. So I have the IonQ 22 calls. I have 1.5 million of those. So around 1,000 calls. And then 23s, I have 500,000. 24s, 500,000. 25s, 500,000.
Order filled.
Then on the 26s, I have 300K. Then the 27s, 200K, 200K, 200K. I have a bit of an anomaly with the 30s, which, you know, again, I could correct that by selling it. So that's kind of the shtick. It goes down from there to 100K, 100K, 30K, 30K, and then 1K, 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 1K. I just do weeklies. Look, you know, I've said this many, many times. You can't tell when a bubble's going to pop. You just have to be prepared for it. If we could enter trades and they automatically worked right away as soon as we entered them, if you think about that, there would not ever be an opportunity to make money. The trades kind of have to go against you. Because if they were able to go your way every time, then that means that somebody else probably has the same quote-unquote skill that you have. And, you know, there wouldn't be any opportunities for anyone. You would take all of the money of the stock market and make it yours. You would drain the whole stock market. But nobody has that ability. So you have to put in some room in your investment plan that includes your ability to be wrong. And if you think about your ability to be wrong, think about standard deviations. For example, this stock has gone up and down a lot, right? Eli Lilly doesn't go up and down a lot. So one standard deviation for, yeah, Skilo's got it exactly right. You can't pick a top and bottom with something that has 100, 300% IV. You have to be patient. And you have to be willing to get, you know, I always say you got to be willing, you want to get 80% of a move. You should be happy to capture 50% of a move for a stock like this. One. And then two, look at the standard deviation for Rigetti is around $3 to $5. The standard deviation for Lilly is like $5 to $10. And it's at 750. So you have a huge standard deviation for Rigetti where it can go up or down a couple dollars for no reason. Lilly's not going to go up or down 5 or 10% for no reason. But Rigetti will go up or down 30, 40% for no reason. So, you know, in terms of deciding when you've made your trade and you've made it correctly, you have to incorporate that into your thinking. Now, you want to be a big shot, you want to go all in, sure, go for it, but recognize two things. One, you live by the sword and you die by the sword. If you're going for big gains, you're also exposing yourself to big losses. And then two, if you, you know, haven't put any error margin in your trade, you're basically implying that you're Superman. And the problem with implying that you're Superman is if you were Superman, you'd already have all the money in the market. You'd be that good, but you're not that good. Nobody's that good. So you have to put in a little bit room for error. Otherwise, you're just as bad as the baggie. You're gambling just as much. Which again, if you want that, that's okay.